This is the
Okay.
4A student hangout for students in Southwest Kansas. I'm Tyler, this is Brett, this is Alma, and on the other screen we have Joanna, who's a student here, who we're going to be asking questions to. So, do you guys have a question you want to start with?
Yeah, so Joanna, why don't you begin just by telling us a little bit about yourself and about your experience coming from Southwest Kansas and your experience so far at Fort Hays.
Well, my name is Joanna Cruz. I am going to be a junior here in this coming fall, and going to Hayes has been a good experience just with having to meet new friends and coming from Southwest Kansas. It's not too far from home, so that's what I like best about it. I get to have in touch with my friends back home since they are close by, and since coming from Garden City, the town size is not too much of a difference, so that's what I really like. So I didn't have to transition too much. Just know that coming from Garden and going to Hayes is not really much of a difference, just with your classes and stuff.
Joanna, why did you choose to come to Fort Hays State from Southwest Kansas?
Like mentioned before, since it wasn't too far from home, and also I do enjoy that the classes they have smaller portion sizes with students, as in a normal class would have 30 students, just like it did back home in my high school. And so that way, with having smaller class sizes, I get to have more one-on-one with the teachers with any questions or just anything that I need help on.
Great. Oh, looks like we got a question in here from an audience member. How are classes in college different than classes in high school?
Coming like with the high school from Garden City, a lot of teachers do remind you about homework, do give you like just telling you to remind you to do your homework. But with coming to college, professors they will treat you like an adult, and what's saying with that is because they expect you to have more responsibility, which is part of going to college. So like in college, they will remind you about homework, but they're gonna expect you to put in your planner or ask questions if you need to. A lot of teachers they won't really expect questions unless you ask for them. Another thing is too is that you will have to study a lot more you did in high school. Yeah, you might have had study guides in high school, but with coming to college, like I said, teachers expect you to study a lot more. They expect you to be responsible with your notes and any test dates that you need to keep track of. But the same is just having same class sizes.
Great.
I'll go ahead. How much time do you spend on classes and how do you manage time between coursework and other things?
Can you repeat that, please? Sorry, a little hard to hear.
Sorry. So about how much time in a week do you put into your classes compared to the time you spend doing other things and time you spend with your involvements and things like that?
Just with organizing my time, I've always been told that for every credit hour is 3 hours of studying time outside the classroom. So if you're taking about 12 to 15 credit hours, doing the math, maybe about 30 to 40 hours a week, maybe study, maybe a little bit less, but just depending on what kind of classes you're taking. Well, with me personally, I would be studying about maybe 3 to 5 hours a day. Might be a little different from high school. Like time commitment with studying is really important.
Joanna, we've got another question coming in right now. Did you live on campus? And what was your experience like living in the residence halls? Did you live with someone that you didn't know, and what was that experience like?
To be honest, moving into residence halls, it was a bit nerve-wracking because I was paired up with a random roommate. I did get to know her before, but having a random roommate was part of the experience of getting to know someone else. And also living in the residence halls, with my experience, I was able to be in a learning community. And what learning communities are, in case you don't know, they're basically you're with other students with similar interests as you. As in, like, if you're studying business, you'll be in a business learning community, leadership with the leadership community, and just kind of based on what you're majoring in. On campus, for my first year because that was probably the best way for me to connect with other students, because you will be on the same floor with other students surrounding you. So that's probably the best way you get to know other people. So like I said, I do recommend being on campus your first year because that's just the best way you get to know somebody.
I will apologize to all of our viewers if you're hearing some music in the background. It is music camp on campus this week, another great thing about Fort Hays State University. So you might hear some random instruments serenading us. Alma, do you have another question that the students?
Sure. So something that students asked is, how important is it to get involved, and what would you suggest for students to do as they come to that first semester of their college experience?
With becoming involved on campus, one of the best ways to do that, like the first day of classes, there is a back to school picnic with different organizations. We have about 150 to 200 different organizations, so there has to be one fit for you that I'm sure you'll fit into. Another best way is to, if you're living in the residence halls, kind of talk to other students and kind of see what they're interested in as well. Just kind of like maybe go with a friend. If you're nervous, it's fine. But a few ways to get involved. Just there's different types of organizations, just with religious groups, Greek life, leadership activities, service projects. There's different types to different ways to get involved.
We'll pause for a minute. Are there any other questions from our audience members watching this live, so you can text them into the text box? Oh, great.
What was that? Sorry.
Here. Joanna, how do you stay in contact with your family and friends back home while you're in college?
This is one of the a little hardest things you will have to do when you go to college. You won't be able to see your friends from back home as much because you are taking your step into your career, your next step in life. So with the way I connect with friends back home, we just call them up, see how they're doing. It's good to kind of contact your friends from back home. That way you don't feel as alone, but just realize that once you do go to college or wherever you end up going, that you meet other friends, and then that way you get to have more connections, more relationships. But just with talking with students back home, I just call them up maybe a couple of times a week, see how they're doing. But just realizing that you are taking a step by yourself into college, and know that you will be having that experience of getting to know other people.
We've got another one. What was something you did not expect coming to FHSU, or what was something you weren't prepared for?
It's something I kind of realized in my head, that your parents aren't there anymore. Right when they were dropping me off, I was kind of excited. They were helping me move in and stuff. But once they left, I'm just like, oh, they're gone. What do I do now? And so it was just kind of starting to prepare yourself that you will be on your own. That your parents won't be knocking on your door, getting up in the morning, to making sure that you're going to class. It just hit me really hard that you are taking responsibility for yourself, that you get up on time for your classes, that you are doing your homework, that you are eating healthy whenever you should, making sure you're eating quite a bit a day. And just the most of it, just realizing that you are responsible for your own actions now that your parents aren't there with you anymore.
Well, I think we got one last question here. Unless there are any other questions for the audience, we'll be saving this last question here.
Okay.
All right, no other question. So, Joanna, someone wants to know, what should they be getting excited for as the classes start, as August starts rolling around and they get ready for move-in day? What should they be most excited about coming into Fort Hays?
What I was most excited when I went to is just meeting new people. I think, like I said, it gets a little bit nerve-wracking. Knowing that the classes are, you get to have that first step of what you want to do with your career. You're excited if you want the career choices, what you really want to do. Just mostly with the organizations you get to be involved with. What I enjoyed about Fort Hays, just with our pride, with our score, our Tiger spirit, just going to the football games, having a good time. just doing some traditions with any of our games. Just excited about just to get into that spirit, just like how I did in high school, but now just going into that at Fort Hays. So just I was most excited for the Tiger Spirit, and I hope other incoming students are excited as well, because we do have pride in FHSU.
Great. Well, before we sign off, I think Alma's going to do a couple of reminders from the admissions office for all of our members watching this live or watching it broadcast later on YouTube.
So a couple of reminders for incoming freshmen this year. August 10th is the deadline to finalize your enrollment. So if you haven't done so, all you have to do is log into your Tiger Tracks, go into Tiger Enroll, and pretty much just follow the steps. If you are receiving scholarships from Fort Hays and or outside resources like your communities, different things like that, make sure that we do have those in hand, as well as financial aid. So if you are still in the financial aid process, start thinking about what Plan B is going to be like to make that initial payment in order to be able to finalize classes. And if you have questions with any of that, all you have to do is call our office, and that number is 785-628-5666, and we can definitely help you get in contact with whoever you need to speak with. That way we can make sure that you are ready to go with that first semester of classes, and you're here for orientation and Golden Beginnings if you're planning on attending, and all the fun Tiger Spirit that Ioana was talking about.
Well, we want to thank Ioana for being a part of this, and all of our students who are watching this live or will be watching this later via YouTube. We look forward to seeing you in August, and we encourage you to now at least know one other new person or one other person from Southwest Kansas and Ioana. So she is an orientation leader, and she will be able to find her during Golden Beginnings and Learning Communities and Tiger Impact and everything else. So it's a great day to be a Tiger. Thank you much to Ioana. Thank you to all of our students who are watching this live, and have a great rest of the day.
Bye.